I've made quite a few videos about how feminism harms men, but feminism is about equal opportunity. Yes, equal opportunity to screw over both sexes, not just men. If there is a war on women, then the enemy is feminism. And I am on the women's side of that war. From violent crimes to the wage gap, feminists love to spread factoids around. The women who actually believe the feminist lies are made to feel hopeless and depressed because they really believe that the odds are stacked against them. One of the main goals of feminism is to perpetuate the victim status for women. They must hold on to that victim card. And I think this not only harms men, but women as well. Now, even though feminists say that women are strong, capable, and independent, their actions don't seem to be consistent with their words. Their words say one thing, but their actions say something else. Deep down, feminists really want women to believe that they are weak. For instance, feminists want women to believe that they need affirmative action in order to compete with men in the labor market. They feel that women should get as much help as possible. But if they are so strong and capable, then they shouldn't need this extra help. They don't seem to be too angry when women aren't held to the same standards as men for the same job. You would think the feminists would be livid that women are held to lower standards for the fitness test to become police officers, as this implies that women aren't as capable as men. But they are rather quiet about it. However, they certainly will yell discrimination if that male officer earns more than the female officer. It's fine that women have an easier time getting a job solely because of their sex, but it's unacceptable that even one man makes more than a woman, even though that man did more work. Feminists will also say things like, a female authority figure isn't taken as seriously as a male authority figure, and says that this is because of how society views women as inferior and not to be taken seriously. Now, a woman who buys into this feminist garbage would really believe that nobody will take her seriously simply for being a woman, and that no matter what she does, she won't be treated with the proper respect. For some women, this will create a self-fulfilling prophecy. If she believes that nobody will respect her, then she will project these inner feelings outwardly, and she won't get the same respect that she would have received otherwise. But generally speaking, nobody bases this on gender. It's all about how you present yourself. If you portray yourself with confidence and charisma, then your gender won't matter. You'll get respect if you earn it. That's a concept that feminists don't seem to understand. To them, respect is something women should just be entitled to, not something that women should have to earn like everybody else. But if you don't earn respect, it's not likely that you're going to get it. How are you going to get respect if you complain about every little thing and blame it on discrimination, rather than taking responsibility for your own actions? Instead of wondering what you could do to earn a higher wage, you merely play the victim card and say that women are the victims of discrimination and that's why women make less. You say that you're independent and don't need a man, yet you push for more legislation. You went from husband Sam to Uncle Sam. So instead of being dependent on one man, you depend on the taxpayers, which include multiple men. So feminists don't need a man. They need more government. They want more handouts, freebies, and government programs for women only. That's quite the opposite of being independent. Feminists also talk about how women are the ones who feel unsafe walking down dark alleyways, and that's why we still need feminism. I always wonder, why is feminism needed for that exactly? What can feminism possibly do to not make women afraid to walk down dark alleyways? Not a thing. People feel the way they feel. It can't be helped. Just because you're afraid doesn't mean there was anything to be afraid of. You could walk down an alley worried that you're going to get raped, robbed, or killed, but if nothing happens, then what did you really have to worry about? What's the real issue here? Being afraid that you might get raped, or actually getting raped? Because it's the feminists who perpetuate this fear in the first place. It's the feminists who over-exaggerate rape statistics and talk about how often women get raped, and makes it sound as if you're going to get raped next week if you haven't been already. It's because of feminism that a woman would have this fear to begin with. I don't think feminism wants to stop women from being afraid. I think they want to perpetuate this fear to maintain the victim status. Besides, what exactly could be done to make women less afraid to walk down a dark alleyway? There will be muggers, murderers, and rapists out there. Crime can't always be stopped. The only thing we can do is punish criminals for their illegal actions, and we already do have laws against violent crimes. This fear that somebody may have is an individual thing. Not every woman would be afraid of walking down a dark alleyway. Maybe she knows the area. Maybe she took a self-defense class. Maybe she's armed. Maybe she's not a paranoid feminist and isn't constantly living in fear that she's going to be raped at any minute. And this fear isn't unique to just women. A man can be afraid of these very same things if he wants to walk down a dark alleyway. Not every man is Charles Bronson. He can just as easily be a victim of a violent crime just like a woman can be. In fact, it's more likely that a man would be a victim of a violent crime than a woman. But feminists envision men as the perpetrators of violence, so it's hard for them to imagine men ever being the victims of a violent crime. To them, men don't have to fear anything, they are the ones to be feared. On the other hand, feminists see women as weak and think that women are always the victims and could never be the perpetrators of a violent crime. So yes, feminists tell women how frequently rapes occur, but at the same time, they also tell women that they shouldn't have to worry about rape at all. They say it shouldn't matter what the woman wears, how they flirted, or where they were. But this would only lead to more women getting raped. Feminists don't see the difference between the way things should be and the way things really are. Nobody should be raped, robbed, or killed. I agree with them on that. But violent crimes do happen, and people need to make smart choices on how to live their lives. But try telling this simple logic to a feminist. He or she will say you are blaming the victim, or you condone rape, or you're making excuses for the rapist. Let me make something clear. If somebody commits a crime, I blame the person committing the crime. I never say it was the victim's fault. Saying what the victim could have done to avoid getting raped is not the same as placing blame on them. I should have the right to walk down a street in New York City holding $1,000 in my hand so that anyone can see my money. And if I get robbed, whose fault is it? The person who robbed me, of course. The blame is completely on them, but I might have avoided getting robbed if I kept my cash hidden or didn't carry so much cash on me. Crime happens, so it's only smart to try and avoid it if you possibly can. Thinking about why a criminal act was committed is not the same as blaming the victim. Looking for a motive is not the same thing as making excuses. Detectives always look for the motive behind a crime, but nobody thinks that they're looking to excuse murder. Interestingly enough, feminists saying that women should be able to do, say, and wear whatever they want and never worry about getting raped would only lead to more women getting raped. But people telling women what they could do to actually avoid this violent crime are labeled as victim blamers and rape advocates. In other words, feminists are made to look as if they want to help women, even though they're really not. But the people who actually do help women are seen as the bad guys. Here's something else I've noticed. Feminists always say that a woman should be able to walk anywhere without worrying about getting raped, but they'll never say that a man should be able to walk anywhere without worrying that the woman who is walking in front of him, who just so happens to be walking the same way, will suspect him of being a stalker or a rapist. So yes, feminism harms men by making them out to be the criminals and the perpetrators of violence, and it harms women by making them out to be the victims of society and making them feel like the odds are stacked against them. I prefer to treat women like adults, not like the weak and incapable little children that feminists make them out to be. Women aren't victims because of the society we live in. Women are victims because that's what feminism wants them to believe. And many women buy into that. Luckily, not all women buy into this feminist propaganda. But unfortunately, a lot of men and women still do.